I know some people support the death penalty, but as a country, we haven't allowed the death penalty for 50 years. And we've sort of taken a national view on that. And we've signed up to all sorts of conventions which prevent us allowing that to happen. And we've been actually a really important international actor in trying to get death penalty reduced or banned in various different states. And always with the death penalty in any kind of human rights question, the worst case scenario are almost the worst cases to use as examples, because there's always going to be a terrible, terrible murderer who, would be the exception to the rule. And we can all think of cases like that. But the problem is that what comes after it is a whole host of other exceptions and cases which bring into play a lot more difficult, really hard moral decisions. And I think this is the thin end of a wedge, and that's why we've taken a strong line on it up to now.
Why do you think Sajid Javid has taken this stance then?
Because he's got a load of evidence against these guys. He doesn't want them over here. He doesn't want it to be Britain's problem. So as I understand it, they've been stripped of their British citizenship already. I would imagine they're far too problematic, and maybe, as Adam was pointing out there, or Adam and I were discussing, maybe it would be too difficult to get a conviction in this country. Adam, over to you.
Well, I mean, having what he says in that letter, one of the things he says, this is a special case because there's been so much pressure on me, effectively, from the victims' families. And the really worrying thing about that is it sounds like what's different about this case is it's been on the front page of all the newspapers, and it would be very bad if there wasn't some kind of justice. And I think that's really problematic. Although there's nothing wrong with him stripping them of citizenship and sending them off for a trial that wouldn't involve the death penalty. I mean, go and get they do whole life sentences in America. They could be in prison in a supermax prison for the rest of their lives. It's certainly not
what would be
reward.
the prison would be Guantanamo Bay, and that is a detention facility the UK government does not support.
I heard that as well this morning, but I'm not sure that's right. I think that from reading that letter, I don't think they are supporting him going to Guantanamo Bay. I think they're saying he should be tried in a US civil court, in a US criminal court.
They don't want to send him to Guantanamo Bay. They just want to kill him. They just want him dead.
I don't believe in the death penalty.
Why not?
Because I've seen countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia, and I look at the way that they deal with the death penalty. They have public hangings, and I just think it goes back to medieval, backward days. I mean, I actually think for most prisoners, the death penalty is an easy option out. I think if you have committed a crime, you've killed somebody, then you pay for it by taking your liberty away, your dignity away, and you have to think about what you have done every day. That is more of a punishment than the death penalty in my eyes.
Some people would say prison living, certainly is a better alternative than what was meted out to victims of these IS gangs. And, whatever it involves, being re-educated, watching movies, having exercise, they've got their lives, they've got their dignity. And as I say, if anybody saw one of these beheading videos that was put out by IS, really? Would you object? Really? Would you object to the death penalty? No matter what you think about this, would you not say...
But what's the difference between you and them?
Well, what's the difference then when you said... If you'd have sent the SAS into these guys, right, wherever they were, hanging out, and they had been summarily executed, no one would have complained at all. Bullet in the head, there you go, job done. So why is everybody getting on their... Why is everybody so threatened that the job's going to be eventually done as opposed to immediately and summarily done?
I think you have to... It's a very different thing you're talking about. You're talking about bringing people into a court and saying you're going to... You've done that. We've decided we're going to kill you.
Sorry, it's exactly the same as saying we're going to deploy,
I don't think
SAS,
it is. I don't think
why is it we're going to deploy
we're
going to deploy the SS, we're going to find out where you are, and we're going to shoot you through the head? What's the difference? Well, there's absolutely no difference between that and bringing them back. What the difference is, it gives everybody a chance to wring their hands and act all liberal. And, you know, I tell you this, and the reason why Adam Wagner there talked about he did not want a referendum on this. Oh, well, it would be awful if the people decided. That's everybody's view about Brexit as well. Oh, it would be awful if the people who are governed by all of this actually had a say on all of this. What do they know? I reckon you put the death penalty out there on a referendum, particularly for these two, Alexandra Cotti and El Shafi El Sheikh from West London, now no longer British citizens, I don't think you'll find a vote in favour of saving their skin.
I think before you decide, I think you should go to somewhere like Saudi Arabia, stand in a crowd and watch a public execution.
The only thing you should be watching
and think to yourself,
is the beheading
are we better
videos.
Than that?
That's the only thing you should be watching.
Well, we know that they're animals. We know that, but we don't have to act like them, do we? We are more of a civilised nation by saying, you know what, we're not going to act like you.
Wouldn't you feel so much better?
No, I wouldn't, Eamonn. No, because I'm not God, and and I'm a human being, and I think at the end of the day, I feel more superior that I don't carry out the same kind of actions that they do. It makes me feel better.
Where do you stand on an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth?
I don't stand for an eye for an eye, for a tooth for a tooth.
To me, these guys should be extradited straight away, no questions asked, and then they should be put in front of a firing squad. I've got no sympathy for them whatsoever. These people are dangerous. We're never going to get shot of them. We're going to have to try and defeat them somehow, and that's where we should do it.
Well, if ever there was...
some of the gang leaders, haven't they? So,
you know, you look at the UK and you get the Home Secretary speaking the way he has spoken. The Metropolitan Police...
Well, I'm quite impressed with that because I thought he would have been a bit of a human rights person, but I'm glad...
Yeah, but you know what that says, Bran? It says they've got so much evidence against these guys. They want to see them, well... nailed, I suppose, and a lot of people might want to see them nailed.
Everybody's probably listening, probably agrees with yourself, Eamonn, and myself. Put a human rights lawyer in front of the families who have lost their loved ones and ask them how they feel and see how their lives have all been turned upside down. I'll get a bit fed up with these human rights lawyers. They're in it for the money. It's a farce, really. They're just doing it for the money, really. That they don't care about people. Do you know what I mean? They need to go and see the families who's had their lives destroyed, and that might make them slightly change their view on it.